You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
I'm ready to talk some basketball. Are you? Have you recovered? Have you recovered from Monday night?
Nope.
Don't blame you. Don't blame you.
I was telling Samantha, she and I were watching the game together late last night, and there was a time early in the second half. I'm like, we're losing this game. She's like, there's like 12 minutes left. What are you talking about? I was like, we're not shooting it very well. She's like, whatever, you're stupid. And then a couple minutes later, like, we took the lead. I was like, oh, we're winning this game. She's like, see, you didn't believe. And then we went ice cold the last 50 seconds of the game, and I was just staring at her. I was pointing at the TV, but staring at her. She's like, yeah, this is your fault. I was like, I told you. I didn't foresee losing an 8-point lead with, or I guess it was a 5-point lead to then lose by 3 with 50 seconds to go. To end the game on a 14-2 drought or scoring run for the Jayhawks. Knew that Peterson could score whenever, however, didn't expect or didn't really foresee him going for the final 8 points in the last minute of the game. Because we'd seen like his minutes, and he was.
Well, he only got 6 of those points. One of them was that lob dunk.
Okay.
To somebody.
Yeah, you're right.
One of their giant.
Was it Badunga?
4s or 5s. I'm not sure. The guy that kept swatting stuff into the stands all night. I don't know.
That sounds like Badunga.
They have several.
Yeah, so on one side you can say, you were able to do that with a uncharacteristically poor performance from JT Toppin and without Christian Anderson, and you were right there. You probably should have had you had Christian Anderson and your two top performers performed season averages, you may have beaten them by 20 points. Or maybe it shows up in a different way. Because the past few, let's say weeks, you've elected to force their guard to try to beat you, and they've gone off for some points, but you've you've survived that. And maybe it would look differently if your rotation lineup was at its normal rotation.
Yeah, I just think Anderson commands a lot more attention than people think he does, and him not being there was absolutely a factor for several reasons. Okay, I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
You're back. You at least for me, you went out as you were saying several reasons. It was really early on in your.
Okay, I just got started, but yeah, to go back to what you said, there were Anderson.
Oh no, and now he's gone. We are having Riverside issues tonight. We're starting a little bit late tonight with all the issues. And I love you can still see all of our moving boxes. We're going to give him a second to join. But yeah, it was obviously Christian Anderson did not play. He was ruled out with an illness And then at least in the broadcast talking about they was going to be reevaluated at halftime, potentially would come back. Did not make it back in. And then JT Toppin only played 30 minutes. Luke Bemboye played 9. So you had, the little bit of a bump or benefit from his return and getting Toppin off the floor. He finished with only 10 points, 5 of 18 shooting, and 6 rebounds. So he did not get a double-double. You did get 40 minutes from Donovan Atwell and 39 from Jalen Petty, 37 from Lawan Watts, 34 from Tyree Bryan. Michael's back. I was just going through some of the guys that you saw a lot more minutes from with the absence of Anderson. And then with I say limited, 30 minutes from JT Toppin, which I think was probably a good thing, that you're not having to play him 39, 40 minutes. You got 9 minutes from Luke Bemboye. But
well, Toppin got in foul trouble early, so I think that was
there was that too.
I think he got taken out in the last 8 minutes or so of the first half, and I think he went back in, but not very much. But what I was trying to say, because I think Riverside is absolutely crapping the bed on us tonight. What I was trying to say is that Atwell shot better than I thought he did. He was 4 of 13, which is 30%. But like you were pointing out very early on, when I was trying to get this spat out 5 minutes ago, if our guys would have just kind of held their averages, I think we would have done well. Atwell's shooting over 40% from 3 this year, which is really incredible. And you can't expect that to be sustainable every single game. But if he would have somehow been able to manage that this time, Tech probably wins. Maybe that one that hit the rim with 7 seconds left in the game would have gone in. So there's just there are a lot of what ifs in this game, especially the last 4 minutes. Toppin had, depends on who you want to get mad at. It seems like a lot of people really wanted to take some frustration out on Watts, despite his double-double, probably single-handedly keeping Tech in the game, and kind of blaming him on that turnover with that Watts threw to his back. Or Toppin had that travel, which I rewound and watched it like 3 times, and he pivoted with his right foot, and he picked up his right foot. It was a travel, but it stinks that they called it, because it seemed like it was really close. And he was struggling, man. He was battling the double Toppin and then live with Anderson trying to drain a 3 or something, or they didn't have to really choose. They just doubled Toppin or tripled him, and then he got his shot blocked twice in the last 4 minutes. I mean, handsomely blocked, and it's not his fault. It's just the nature of the game. But man, just a lot of things could have gone differently for Tech in that last 4 minutes. A lot of things went right for Tech. They, Kansas challenged an out of bounds call and lost. Tech challenged an out of bounds call and won. Kansas,
and then
Kansas had like
it over.
2 minutes left in a 1 possession, 2 possession game with 0 timeouts left. And back to what you said, after that reversal, there was the immediate turnover where Toppin hit Watts in the back after he came back in bounds. So Tech had a lot of chances. They just weren't able to capitalize on them. And I think that's what makes it so frustrating.
Yeah. You did get a few more minutes from Josiah Mosley. Well, I'd say few. He played 2 minutes the first game, 4 minutes Monday night. You got 7 minutes from Jazz Henderson. I can't remember seeing him play before. Very obviously stuck out like how small he is. And just kind of pressed into into action with your rotation being as thin as it was. The offense, the turnover is looking uncharacteristically bad or showing up in weird spots. Like chalk it up to like you're kind of covering holes there with Anderson being out, and Watts and Bryan and just the guys around him that had to pick up those extra minutes, playing in a not necessarily unfamiliar role, but like a role that that hasn't been their primary focus this season. So it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate. You really needed that win. You don't get the asterisk in the rankings or the ratings or all the kind of stuff when they go back and look at your resume and say, hey, you lost a game at home versus Kansas. And like, oh, but actually it was without Christian Anderson and JT Toppin played. He was on the bench for a few extra minutes because of foul trouble. He did get the 2 quick fouls, but finishing him with 3, which I think Morris points out that very much changed how he played his game the rest of the night after going off the floor with those 2 quick fouls. So you drop this one Monday night versus Kansas. The other thing that I think is telling, you shot 5 free throws on the night, just 5. So yes, you were at home, but there were some some of this is obviously going to be the style you played, but also the Kansas whistle. It always happens.
Well, I mean, Tech shot 43s.
That too.
They made 12 of them. You're not going to get a lot of fouls called on that.
Yeah, and that's not really. If you're shooting 43s, you're not going for a lot of interior possessions where you would typically draw a foul. Yeah, I want to see if I could goad you into a reaction there about blaming the refs, but sorry.
I wasn't tracking.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So that one stings, especially because you had the lead and it whittled away and dried up on you there at the end. Saturday stung in a completely different way when you lost on the road at UCF. They have an offensive team. They've been shooting pretty well, and going on the road is obviously very difficult. You just didn't play well at all. Every time I checked in on this game, because I wasn't watching it live, UCF had a 2-ish possession lead. The half scoring was exactly the same for both. It was a 44-40 halftime lead for UCF, and both teams scored exactly the same in the second half, 44-40. Toppin played 37 minutes. Anderson played 40. Toppin gave you 27 points and 10 rebounds. Anderson gave you 17 points and 9 assists. Atwell added 11, but on 3 of 6 from 3. Lawan Watts played 23 minutes and gave you 9 minutes. So it's a big difference in what he did on Monday. Jalen Petty, 29 minutes. And when I said Josiah Mosley gave you a couple of minutes, that was his first game. Not this one versus UCF. He played 17 minutes this weekend, gave you 6 points. Tyree Bryan had 4. Luke Bemboye had 3. So,
yeah, would have liked to see Bemboye in there a little bit more than 3 minutes. I'm not really sure what the limiting factor was there. Only played 9 minutes against Kansas, against a team that we really could have used his size. Despite, I think Tech still managed to rebound well against Kansas. 14 offensive rebounds, 40 rebounds total, and Kansas had 38 rebounds total. So I mean, can't really complain there. I think Tech rebounded well against UCF. Let me see if I'm talking about that right or not. UCF out rebounded him 35-23, so not the best there, but it wasn't for lack of Toppin. Another double-double on him, and Anderson almost had a double-double with 9 assists there. But yeah, Watts, like you kind of touched on, had a rough game that day, 3 turnovers, some questionable timing on some shots, kind of went 2 for 6 from 3. He's not typically a 3-point shooter, I wouldn't say. And I think I saw a lot of fans really just railroading him during the Kansas game, and I'm still like, guys, I think y'all are just still mad about Saturday. Watch what he's doing tonight. I mean, he did have some turnovers for sure against Kansas, but he was asked to do a lot more than he normally is, and he had 19 points and 12 rebounds. So I mean, I I don't know. I don't know what he was supposed to do in that situation to make everyone happy, but it apparently wasn't. It wasn't enough.
And as a team, you shot considerably better from 3 on the road Saturday than you did Monday versus Kansas. You shot 11-29, which was 38%, versus UCF, and only 12 of 40, which was 30%, versus Kansas.
Yeah, both of these games, it just felt like the size really snuck up on Tech again. I kind of had allowed myself to forget about it. The last several opponents Tech has had doesn't seem like it has been as lopsided. But man, UCF has, I mean, Bowles a giant guy. Kansas has giant guys like we've already talked about, and you can see that make a huge difference on both ends. So I, not to narrow it down to a specific thing, but I would say that was for me the big factor, at least in Orlando.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier.
No.
You've got road trip at West Virginia this weekend, home versus Colorado next Wednesday, and then Tuesday the 17th, you're at Arizona, currently number one Arizona. They're 22-0 right now. As of today, it is a 5-point projected margin of victory for Texas Tech on the road, but it's a road game, and that's not always an easy thing to do, especially in West Virginia. I know they've gone through some transition there, but they've always been very feisty there. And then the schedule on the rest of the way out, it gets intense. We talked about it early on, but you've got, let me scroll down far enough. At West Virginia, at Arizona State, home versus Kansas State, home versus Cincinnati, at Iowa State, TCU, at BYU. So,
yeah, like you said, not much of a, not really an easy out this rest of the way. It even if before anybody thinks of that, Colorado could possibly be one. Well, they just about took care of you on the road when you had a lead of 20 or whatever it was. So I just, you hope Anderson's healthy.
25.
Again. Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to swallow my drink. 25.
No, you're good. That was one of those, like, you could have spit, like a spit take kind of thing. But that was one of those games that you are, you're glad that Tech was able to pull it out, but man, really had to struggle and came away with a last second shot of losing that kind of lead. So yeah, not an easy out left at all, and some of the toughest games in the country ahead.
Yeah, so right now puts you at 16-6, 6-3 in Big 12 play, tied for 5th in the standings, but it's only, what is it, halfway through league play. There's not a lot of games to separate everybody. Had you won on Monday, I think you would have been tied for 2nd. So like a 1-game swing. That one game was a big swing there on the standings. Rankings update, Michael. Texas Tech, sorry. Let's start with the top of the Big 12. Arizona number 1. They're previously number 1. You will play them Valentine's Day. Wait, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because under upcoming, you've got it for on the 17th.
Oh, crap. That seems like something I would have messed up.
Unless it's like the women's schedule.
Yeah, I could see myself doing that.
Within the next couple of weeks, you're playing at Arizona. I did like that you did include Illinois. Texas Tech played them earlier this season. They are up to number 5. 19-3 on the year, and they just defeated a top 10 Nebraska team this weekend. Iowa State has moved up from 8 to 7. You play Iowa State in Ames at the end of the month on the 28th. Houston is up to 8th from 10. Kansas got a 3-spot jump. You're welcome. From 14 to 13. 14 to 11. Texas Tech moved from 11 down to 13. But it is your program record 22 straight AP appearances. So this is a great run for you. I mean, I wish you were moving up in the rankings currently, but BYU slid a couple of spots from 3 spots, 13 to 16. You'll play them your final regular season game, March the 7th. UCF did get a bump from playing you. They are now in the others receiving votes category. We did mention that you were tied for 5th. You would be tied with UCF there. Net rankings, you're up to 20, or you are at 20th. You are 5-6 in quad 1 games and perfect in all other quads, which is, if you're going to be losing games, I guess if you're going to be losing games, rather than being quad 1, Haslametrics has you at number 24. So those are more in line, I think, with where this team realistically is than what the AP rankings has you at. And Ken Palm has you at 22nd. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for half a second. So, yeah, it's basketball season. We do have football and roundball, hardball, softball, baseball, all the ball things to talk about. But Lady Raiders update, Michael.
Whoa. So, okay. Oh, let me go back. Tech is at Arizona on Valentine's Day. That was correct, but they play Arizona State on Tuesday, immediately after that.
Okay.
So I had mixed the date for one and the name of the. Anyway, I got her fixed. We're set now. Lady Raiders, 21-3, 8-3 in the Big 12 after going 1-1 in conference play since we last recorded. They did lose to Iowa State 70-84, just a really frustrating game. On Wednesday, Crooks had like the most pedestrian 33 points you can imagine, just 13 of 19 on field goals. She missed 6 shots, 7 of 7 from the line, 12 rebounds. I mean, just made it look easy. There was no stopping her at all. But
she almost stopped herself. She had 4 fouls.
Right. And, Maupin did foul out. Fritz had 4. Bristow had 4. Collins had 4. Collins had for her, kind of a uncharacteristically not great night. She still had 16 points, but Sydney Love came off the bench with 17, really kind of provided a spark. And the game was close until the fourth quarter. And it just, the third really, Tech got outscored by 8 in the third and then by 4 in the fourth. And it just, they weren't ever really able to recover. It was, I believe, tied at half or 2-point difference. And then the second half just did not go their way. But Sunday, TCU came to town.
Mm-hmm.
Number 12 ranked TCU came to town. And Texas Tech took care of it with a win, 62-60. Came right down to the end of the game. TCU had a final shot that was thankfully a massive air ball. That's just great to see. Snutta Collins off the bench again. We've talked about her all season. It started kind of slow, had a couple of turnovers early, was just kind of having trouble finding her shot. And then all of a sudden she scored 28 points, Spencer. 28 off the bench in 30 minutes, 9 of 20 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, including at least 1 or 2 gigantic threes at the end of the game. 7 of 9 from the line, 5 rebounds. Speaking of rebounds, the Lady Raiders were all over the place. And this is really saying something because TCU had 2 6'7" girls, 6'7", that they rotated in. They had a 6'3" player, Suarez, who played a lot of the game. She played 36 minutes. Silva played 26 minutes. I can't remember the name of the other 6'7" player, but they even had a 6'8" player on the bench that didn't come in. So the height advantage was all TCU, and there was times Gerlich was even running a completely small ball lineup out there with Bristow as the big, and she kind of had to because I think Malone got in some foul trouble. Another interesting thing too, she started Malone, I think for the first time all year instead of Sonogo, and I felt like that kind of sparked Sonogo. She came off the bench, only played 9 minutes, but I felt like they were pretty valuable minutes. She still managed to grab 3 fouls in those times, but that's how it works. Anyway, back to Collins. Collins was fantastic. She had 5 rebounds, but the girls out rebounded TCU 46-34. Huge disparity there, and a lot of it was your guards. Maupin had 8 rebounds, Malone with 9. Of course, that was the most on the team. She almost had a double-double. No, she didn't. I don't know why I said that. So anyway, she had 9 rebounds. But then like Hema Nunez, the maybe the smallest player on the court most of the time, 5 rebounds. Fritz with 5 rebounds. Fritz absolutely shut down Olivia Miles for the most part. I mean, Miles only had 1 3 for the night. She was 1 of 5 on shooting, 6 of 19 on her shots. So not as great of an outing as they've seen from her, and a lot of that was because of Fritz. But it was a really gutsy win by the Lady Raiders. It was a really fun game to go to. This was the one game we got to take Mom to this year because I did not factor in my child's games being at the exact same time of 3 or 4 Lady Raider games this year. And they're all Big 12 games, so yay for me. But that schedule was released way after we knew what we were getting into, so I may not get to go to another Lady Raider game until March 1st. Long story short, it's cool. It's cool. It's fine. But we did get to go to the TCU game, see them take care of business and take care of a TCU team who is still first in the Big 12. Came into Lubbock 20 and no, I think that's after. Yep, I think I updated that. They're 20-3 now, 8-2 in the Big 12. Texas Tech is tied for second in the Big 12 right now at 8-3 with West Virginia. Of course, they own that tiebreaker, but it's too early for that to really matter. But yeah, you're looking at your number 18 Lady Raiders. They moved up from 21 last week. TCU moved down from 12 to 14. Baylor moved down from 14 to 15. Tech hosts Baylor on Wednesday the 18th. So here pretty quickly, they'll be here in Lubbock, but I will be in the back gym at Laura Bush Middle School watching the Court Queens take on somebody. West Virginia is moving up a little bit. They were 22. They're at number 20 right now, and receiving votes is Oklahoma State and Iowa State. And Iowa State's shouldn't be a big surprise. Of course, they beat Texas Tech on the road. That's a good win for them, but they also started out really high in the rankings this year and just kind of fell off once Big 12 play started. But great week. Despite the loss on Wednesday for the Lady Raiders, they were able to take care of an in-state rival and get Snetta Collins named the Big 12 Player of the Week. I don't know how often that happens for a bench player. If you could really call her that. I mean, she's pretty incredible. But yeah, she's able to make her own shot. She can pull up. She does that thing where she does a jump fake and then she'll stop and kind of shoot a fadeaway. I mean, she's got a lot of tricks to get some buckets. So she's a really fun player to watch, and that 28 points was absolutely crucial on Sunday from her.
Yeah, so I was looking at it.
Go ahead.
No, I was looking at the box score from this weekend versus TCU, and you were talking about Snetta Collins' scoring. She went 9 of 20 from the field. Your starters, 1 of 12, 2 of 3, 1 of 10, 1 of 2, 1 of 6. She outscored all of the starting 5 combined by herself.
Yes.
They went 7, 7, 4, 2, and 2. So they went 2, 4, 8, 15, 22 points, and she had 28.
Yeah, her and Sydney Love. Love has really stepped up these last 2 games, even against Iowa State, like I mentioned. But let me see what she had there, because I remember just looking at it. So she had 16. Nope, she had 17 versus Iowa State. Collins had 16. And so the 2 of those combined for, what is that, 33 off the bench?
Yeah, and 38 versus TCU.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of an emerging duo with Love getting a lot more time than she has been before. I don't know if she's been completely healthy until recently. So that could play a lot of reasoning behind that. But just they're a fun team to watch. But yeah, it was a little frustrating because Bristow wasn't getting anything going. Fritz barely shot the ball. She really did well when she did, but she just didn't get off many shots. Maupin was really struggling on the day. Yeah, Maupin and Bristow, not to point them out, but just to state some facts, they were 2 of 22 on field goals for the day, combined. Pretty rough day for the 2 of them. But anyway, got the win, and mostly because of Collins and a lot because of Sydney Love as well.
Yeah. All right. Let's do softball, baseball. Let's do some stickball.
Yeah. It's time.
Yeah, let's start with softball because they start their first pitch of the season is this week. You've got on here in the notes they will play 6 games before we come back to record, and we're recording early next week.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 games in 7 days, starting on Thursday the 5th versus McNeese State. They're going to be at the McNeese tournament in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They will have a game Friday and then a game on Thursday, doubleheader on Friday. So they get McNeese State on Thursday, North Texas and ULM on Friday. And they drive down or over, I guess, from Lake Charles to College Station. And they're there in the College Station tournament, and they will play a doubleheader on Saturday. So they have a doubleheader Friday in Louisiana, doubleheader Saturday in College Station. Saturday they will have Texas A&M and Providence, and then one more on Sunday versus Bryant before we record again. So Texas Tech will have 6 games to their record by Monday, and then the following week they will be in the Shriner Children's Clearwater Invitational in Florida, where they will then play another 6 games. Doubleheader Friday, a single on I keep looking at February.
I typed Thursday.
I know you did. I was going to explain, like, I see Thursday, February 12th, and my brain just keeps making the connection. I see the Feb, and I just keep saying Friday. A doubleheader Thursday, a single game on Friday, a doubleheader on Saturday, and a single game on Sunday. So they'll go Florida State, Northwestern, FAU, NC State, James Madison, and Nebraska. All there in Florida. So, TV update, though. There was a big update from the conference about just how many games are going to be on TV. And for as many games as will be played, very small number between baseball and softball. But I think there was 5 or 6 games for baseball, and none of them were Texas Tech. Softball, looks like Tech will be on there 7 times this season.
Yes, they'll be on, and a lot of them will be this that Clearwater tournament next weekend. Now there will be I went through their schedule. It looks like, and that number only includes, linear cable, quote unquote, or whatever that means, not streaming. So yeah, at least 7 games on, ESPN2 or whatever else you want to call it, or ESPN, which including Sunday, February 15th versus Nebraska, that's going to be on ESPN. But there'll be another 7 games on ESPN Plus, and then in addition to that, for those of you who love Flow Sports, one of the tourneys is exclusively on Flow Sports, and there will be 6 games there. So, 20 games televised for a softball program that would not have seen this type of exposure 2 years ago. I'll take it.
That's the number 1 team in the country, man.
Yep, that's right. Until someone says we aren't.
Until someone says we aren't. Baseball, they are gearing up. They start their season on the following weekend, Friday the 13th. They also had their linear TV schedule release, and I don't know if Texas
I missed
Tech
that. I'm sorry. I would have updated that, but I missed it.
No, there wasn't anything to update. I think across all of the Big 12, I think there were more softball games than there were baseball. I think there was like the Big 12 championship game, like the final. There were 2 between Oklahoma State and Arizona State. I don't remember much of the other ones, but your first pitch will be in the Shriners Children's College Showdown in Arlington, OU Vanderbilt, Arkansas. Home on the 17th versus UTRGV. Nope. If I could read, Michael, it's right there on the paper. In my neck of the woods, down here in South Texas, UTRGV. And then home series versus Albany on Friday the 20th. Doubleheader on the 21st. And then Sunday the 22nd. They had the alumni game this weekend. And I mean, an exhibition just for fun. There was some quality social media content that came out of it with the mic'd up stuff from the players on both sides. The current team did beat the alumni team, although both teams started off the scoring in the first inning with a 3-run home run each. But the alumni team, I just want to read off some of these names, man, because it's fascinating. Drew Baker, Cole Stillwell, Jace Young, Brian Klein, Grant Little, Nolan Hester, which was interesting. They were asking him in the mic'd up stuff, like, "Hey, are you going to be on the current team or the alumni team?" Because he's coaching for the team now, but he was wearing the jersey of the alumni team. He played for the alumni team. Kevin Bazell, AJ Goitia, I don't recognize that name. But Damian Bravo, Bryce Sutler, Steven Smith, Kurt Wilson, Parker Kelly, and then the pitchers that got in the game: Hunter Dobbins, Kyle Robinson, Brandon Beckel, Trenton Parrish, Zane Petty, Chris Richburg, and Hunter Redmond.
That speaks to the program to have these guys come back for an exhibition on a Sunday where it was, I mean, the weather was one of those kind of deceivingly cold days, but not too bad. But yeah, to have that group of guys, very recognizable faces and names, come back and play in an exhibition. I mean, that does speak to the level of connection that Tadlock and the rest of the staff and Texas Tech itself has with a lot of their alumni and their former players.
Yeah. And we haven't really talked about much about the roster for the baseball team. And maybe this will be an opportunity to call on our good friend Keith, but I'll give you the starter, or I'll go through the players for the current team. Center fielder Kyler Thompson, Tracer Lopez at second, Connor Schaus at right field, Logan Hughes at left, newcomer Lincoln Garcia at short, Also saw Coleman Ryan play some shortstop. Caden Ferraro at first, although I think we would probably assume that we would see a lot of Robin Villanueva there. Matt Quintanar. I'm probably not pronouncing, not putting the right emphasis on that syllable there. At catcher, Jesse Rusinek at DH, as well as Chase Thomas. Luke Orphy at third. And then your pitchers, Jackson Burns, Adam Hayes, Davis Rivers. Although that looks like he was a pinch hitter. And then Hollis Porter. I don't know how to read the notation there, because Davis Rivers is not a pitcher, but he's listed among the pitchers, but with a PH next to him. Anywho's, it was good welcoming of old guys back, and then a who's who of performers from recent teams that have done really well. Josh Young was also among the team but did not play. Probably something in his contract about not participating in these type of games.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
But just that much closer to first pitch. Would assume the tailgate dinner is forthcoming. I have not looked it up. Out of just FOMO and jealousy of not being able to go this year.
I bet it's this week. Yeah, it has to be. The softball team did a very similar thing last week.
Yep, it'll be this week, February 7th. So if you're trying to go to that, it's always a good event out there at Kegel's, 7 p.m. on the 7th. Tickets are $40, which is what they have been, and must be purchased in advance from the main site there, textech.com. We'll get into a lot more of that coming up, and then obviously once we get through basketball season, and there's only baseball and softball currently being played, into June, we'll talk a whole lot more about it then. But softball's coming up this week, baseball next week, basketball still has 6 or 7 weeks to go. Yeah. Let's try to put up with some football news, Michael, because
okay,
it's one of those things that just it refuses to quit, refuses to go away. So if we weren't tired of CFP talk and news, they released the schedule, the CFP bowl game schedule for this upcoming season. And despite all the talking heads that talked about how we could fix the schedule and all that kind of stuff, the CFP committee said, screw all that, and somehow made it worse. The schedule will look like this. You'll have the semifinals on the 14th and 15th. So you'll get a week and a half
January.
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, you're good. That's still correct. Oh my gosh. Go ahead. What?
What? Hold on.
No, you're right. I didn't mean to throw you off. That just seems really.
Sorry,
late.
I was okay. No, you're right. I jumped too far ahead. It doesn't have first round games. But the quarterfinals. So the Fiesta Bowl will be on Wednesday, December 30th. And then Cotton Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl will be on Friday the 1st. So again, you'll have a huge gap between the end of the regular season and conference title games, first round, and then you get to the quarterfinals. So a lot like it was this season. And then you'll get 2 weeks between the quarterfinals and semifinals. It was what 10 days last
10 days.
This year, and now it's 2 weeks. And then you get the national championship game in Vegas, which will be, I think it's 2 weeks after the semifinals.
Yes, it's the Monday the 20 something, whatever that is. For I think both of them. Hang on. So for 27, that would be Monday January 25th will be the championship game, and then for 28, that's Monday the 24th. Wow.
Yeah. So the following season, it will be the quarterfinals on the 31st and the 1st. That's sorry, I didn't mention they're not playing on New Year's Eve, 26th, because that falls on a Thursday, and apparently they're trying to avoid any overlap with the NFL. So you'll get a game on Wednesday the 30th, and then 3 games on Friday the 1st. This upcoming season. 27, 28, you'll get Friday, you'll get 1 bowl game, the Sugar Bowl on the 31st, and then 3 of them on New Year's Day. Then the semifinals again 2 weeks after, the 13th and 14th, and the national title game will be 20 whatever it was you said. Almost 2 weeks after that.
I mean, that's weird to be that worried about Thursday when New Year's Day was on Thursday this year, and they went ahead and played 3 college football games that day. I mean, I don't know. I know there were at least 1 or 2 NFL games that day too.
Yeah. So
it's just kind of strange.
With everybody saying the rhythm, the momentum of or whatever you want to call it, a game every week until you get to the end of the season and then stretching it out was a problem. The scheduling piece of the committee was like, you know what, let's really push that and test it and see if we can get more teams with the first round bye really thrown off, and have them play potentially end of November, and then not again until the end of December. Potentially could have a month off.
Yeah, and we're not really helping ourselves here because the ratings were just through the roof. So,
yeah,
I mean, people, it's. I would love to throw out the argument. Well, people have lost interest by this time. Nope. Ratings say otherwise. I think, and it didn't include the quote unquote typical teams you see up at these points, and the ratings were still just insane. So that's all people are looking at, and they're making decisions based solely off that, not what would be most beneficial to the student athletes or people who actually enjoy following the sport, or any other possible scenario.
Yeah. Speaking of schedule, Michael, I mentioned last week that I pulled up and updated the scheduling matrix for 2026 Big 12 teams. And I have a screenshot here. I've got it linked. I want to tell you about it. This is not really going to helpful for anybody else. In my mind, I went through and I highlighted or put a red box around what I thought was that team's most difficult games, and then try to see if it lined up and made like they had any kind of really difficult stretches. I had to alternate colors and insert spaces anywhere. Okay, so we're not going to go game by game through the seasons, through every team's schedule, but I want to look at look at the teams and tell you like, okay, their toughest games are spaced out. There are a handful of teams, their toughest games are all clumped together. And some of them, like Arizona, unfortunately have all their toughest games. Well, that they have BYU week 2, and then they finish the season with Texas Tech, TCU, Utah, Kansas State, Arizona State. So
I'm pretty high on TCU this year.
I think, I think they could be in the same kind of boat that maybe Houston was this season. a 8, 9, 10 game winner, and a couple of games, um, away from potentially competing for a spot in the conference title game, potentially. Um, Kansas State, I think, could be sneaky good, but we'll have to see. And then same with Utah. But
Yeah, I don't even want to completely rule out Oklahoma State at this point. I don't expect this to be another James Madison to Indiana type deal, but I don't know. Maybe it could be. I don't know if it would be that instant or that quickly, but that obviously seems to be the formula that the higher ups at Oklahoma State decided to try to copy as close as they could based off of the coaches in the market and the players that could come with them, and that's they're trying to replicate that, and that's more power to them. Let's see how it works, but I don't know so much this year, but next year I would probably be more concerned. Well, depends on how this year goes, but I don't know. They're kind of a sleeper for me too. But I don't have a lot to base on that aside from vibes and just seeing Indiana absolutely rule with a very similar philosophy the last 2 seasons.
yeah. All right, Arizona State, they've got Texas A&M and Kansas, but Kansas in London back-to-back weeks. I think that could be a little tricky stretch. And then a little bit later in the season, weeks 7, 8, and 9, they've got Texas Tech, Kansas State, BYU. To your point, they do have Oklahoma State and Arizona on the schedule, depending on how those. So like, theirs are bunched up 2, 3, and 2. Like they don't have like they don't really have a spot in their schedule they can really get rolling and get some momentum going. I don't think, unless they have an upset and kind of break up one of these stretches. Or if a team like Kansas State just isn't as good as we think they are, or if Oklahoma State's better, then it kind of shifts that the strength of their schedule around. Baylor starts off with Auburn in Atlanta, and then they get a few weeks. They have a stretch here. This does include a bye week, but they get Arizona State, TCU, and Kansas, and 3 of 4 weeks, and then they end the season BYU, Texas Tech, Houston. So that middle one could be kind of sneaky. The last 3 definitely going to be very difficult for them. Like there's not really a lot of question between those 3 teams. Like, are they going to be good? I think pretty confident saying BYU, Texas Tech, and Houston should be very stout end to the Baylor season. BYU, theirs pretty favorable if you're a Cougar fan looking at what they could be projecting out. They get TCU in week 5, Notre Dame week 7, back-to-back weeks they get Arizona State and Utah. But besides that, they got a fairly favorable schedule. Arizona may be in week 2, but theirs one's kind of spread out.
Yeah, well, my one disagree there is they have a bye week in week 4, so they'll kind of do similar to what Tech did last year. They'll play 3 games, then have a bye week. There are 3 teams in the Big 12 that have a similar scenario, but then they rattle off 9 games. But the other 2 teams who have this same situation do not rattle off 9 games against Power 5 opponents. There's a Hawaii mixed in. There's a Middle Tennessee State mixed in for Kansas. Arizona State's playing Hawaii, but BYU, I think what's sneaky when I looked at this, I really didn't have a lot of anything to disagree with what you're covering here, but that stuck out to me. The fact that BYU plays 3 games, has a bye week, and then plays TCU, Iowa State, Notre Dame, UCF, Arizona State, Utah, Baylor, Kansas, Cincinnati. They have just 9 in a row of some tough opponents. So aside from the actual opponents themselves, but yeah, I mean, on paper it doesn't look as daunting. It's just the grind of it that I think I'm noticing the most and could possibly be a bit of a rough stretch.
No, that's a good point. I wasn't factoring in like when the bye week fell in their schedule. Yeah, Arizona State, BYU, and Kansas all have a 3 games then 9. Only team that has a earlier bye week would be TCU, but they play week 0, then they get week 1 off, and then they get week 6 off. Everybody else gets their bye week 5, 6, 7. West Virginia gets their first bye week, their only bye week late, their latest. They get 8 games and then a bye week, and they finish off with 4. But their last stretch, their 5 games over 6 weeks is pretty daunting. UCF, again, like it sets up well for them to be reestablishing and rebuilding here. Their toughest games are kind of spread out. They do get TCU and Houston in back-to-back weeks. Oklahoma State could be tricky depending on how they build out. And then they get a bye week, and then BYU, but then Baylor, Kansas, Arizona State. It's kind of balanced out. Cincinnati, they have Kansas State week 4, Arizona. So they get Kansas State, Arizona back to back. And then 8, 9, 10, they get Texas Tech, Utah, Houston. And then finish with BYU. They have a pretty loaded schedule. Balanced, but loaded. Like they get a lot of the top end of the conference. Colorado kind of starts off with Georgia Tech, but then they get a slow build. Weber State, Northwestern, Baylor, Texas Tech. Then they get a week off. Then Houston. Nope. Utah. If Oklahoma State's any good, then this stretch goes Texas Tech, Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Arizona State, Houston. Like that's a 5 game and 6 week stretch there that could be really difficult depending on what Oklahoma State does.
Especially for Colorado.
Yeah. Houston, they're up there with Texas Tech in a very favorable schedule. At least in my first blush reading of their schedule, they get Oregon State at home, Southern, Texas Tech, Georgia Southern, UCF, Kansas State. Like their toughest games are spread out. Texas Tech in week 3, Kansas State I think would be a decent opponent for them. Week 6, Utah week 8. Then they get a bye week. Then they finish Cincinnati, Colorado, West Virginia, Baylor. Depending on like how they are able to get to their bye week, their final 4 games, you would think they were going to be favored pretty handily there. Iowa State, I have no idea what they're going to be. They get Iowa week 2, Utah in week 4, BYU bye week, Arizona 6, 7, 8. And then they finish the season at Kansas State. Sorry, home versus Kansas State. Kansas, I've got 6 games scheduled or on their schedule, but it's like 2, and then singles. They get Missouri and Arizona State in back-to-back, but the Arizona State game is in London. Utah, Kansas State back-to-back. Then they get TCU and BYU on their schedule. Oklahoma State, I mean, they get a chance to figure out what they are, where they're going to, what Eric Morris's first year in the Big 12 is going to look like until they hit their final 4 games. They get Kansas State, Texas Tech, Arizona State, Kansas. I include Kansas there because they're not bad. Like if you're not on your game and you're not like set, like that's going to be difficult. They also get Houston a couple weeks before that stretch. TCU, I think, could be really good, a lot better this year, but they have a really tough stretch. So they get North Carolina week 0, BYU in week 5, bye week, Baylor, West Virginia, but then they get Kansas, Arizona, Kansas State, Utah, Texas Tech. it's a very much a crescendo, a very growing of the strength of schedule there to finish out their regular season. We talked about Texas Tech, their toughest games: Week 3, Houston; Week 7, Arizona State; Week 9, Arizona; Week 13, TCU. Um, you don't really get any back-to-backs or strange road trips. Utah, they've got Arkansas Week 2, Houston Week 8, and then they get starting what's that 10? They get BYU, Arizona State, TCU, and then West Virginia. It's going to be difficult. They get Virginia in Charlotte Week 3, Arizona Week 6, and then we mentioned the stretch to end their season. They get TCU bye week, Texas Tech, Kansas, Houston, Utah.
Is that a very early prediction that this is the stretch that ends their season? Are you already predicting an under of 5.5 on the line here?
Yeah, we don't have season over unders yet, but it's going to be hard to think they're going to do. Like, they're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility, and it may be over by week 9. By the time they hit their bye week, excuse me. But so in terms of toughest stretches, I think Arizona to end their season has got a really bad one. Oklahoma State, TCU, West Virginia all have just very tough finishes to their season. A few other teams, I guess, had theirs kind of broken up and spread out. But you don't really see like a really tough stretch in the middle outside of maybe Cincinnati, where they get Texas Tech, Utah, and Houston, or Colorado, where they get Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas State, Arizona State, Houston in a 6 weeks span. So, any thoughts? Anything else that stood out to you?
No, I mean, I agree that West Virginia really has a rough go of it, but I just keep forgetting that we're going to have 3 Big 12 teams head to the UK this year.
Yeah.
Kind of forget about that. Kansas and Arizona State meeting in London, and of course, TCU playing the Tar Heels in Dublin in week 0. So that's really it's kind of fun and interesting, but I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it 100%, especially that London game being the middle of September. That just seems odd to have to be gone for like a full week of school for that. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. We're playing, we're playing football in almost February now. So what does it matter?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Arizona and West Virginia have pretty rough stretches to end the year. And like I said, I think BYU shouldn't be overlooked because of their nine Power 5 or Power 4 games in a row stretch.
Yeah, for sure. Let's wrap it up with questions. And I think the questions segment for us at the past few weeks has been Super Bowl or NFL playoffs. My question for you, I think we kind of posed it, but now that we're week of, do you have a menu set? You have you said you're going to a watch party, right?
Yes, I do
you're
not have a menu.
Something.
I do not. We're not even there yet because I don't think I've told you this, or I think I have, but not while we were recording. I'm going to San Antonio on Saturday to see the Spurs and the Mavs play.
Let's go Mavs.
No, that's wrong. The wrong team. So we will be driving back on Sunday, but we will be back in time for the Super Bowl. But I have no plans for food. Shame to say, I think I'm just going to be showing up. I bet my lovely wife will make something, but it's going to be just kind of We're probably going to get into town about 3 or 4, and then I'll change clothes, and then we'll drive over to my friend's house to watch the Super Bowl.
So there's no shame in especially with your scenario, your situation, to pick something up too. Like, it's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll have to try to make something. We are not attending or hosting any kind of watch party. We're just going to do it ourselves. I have this idea, and I have to see if we can get anything kind of pulled together besides frozen and kind of already cooked stuff. But I want to do like a crawfish boil. Miniature, obviously, for just the 5 of us, the family here. We did one similar last year, but I picked up some shrimp tonight. I know that with the South's milder winter, crawfish could be in season a little early. There are, obviously the packaged tails. I can go get that. But I want to see, because I'm itch, man. A little sausage, a little corn, potatoes, shrimp, crawfish. It's calling me, man. It's calling me. Does it really fit for the Super Bowl? No, but it's I can do whatever the heck I want, man.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, nothing screams Seattle like crawfish.
Or New England.
Yeah.
Boston
crawfish chowder. Serve it everywhere you go.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at doing. So I picked up some pieces. Like I said, I picked up the shrimp and the boil seasoning tonight. I had to run to the store for a few things. I was like, let's go ahead and scope out the situation here.
Well, I think that's a great idea. That's non-traditional and fun, and something your family will enjoy, and you won't end up with I'm assuming you end up with just a crazy amount of leftovers because you're going to scale it down to.
It's scalable.
A proper size.
Yeah. I'm like trying to make a thing of queso, and you make this whole skillet of it. Like, only 3 of us ate it, and I made a whole 16-ounce block of Velveeta here. All right, let's wrap this up. What do we learn? What do you say?
Sure, I learned a lot, actually.
I have a couple of things, and I don't know where you want to start with this. If you want to trade off or,
well, let me start, and then let's trade off. Let's trade off. So I'll go quickly. I mentioned it earlier. My second grader has played her first 2 games in our new league that we started this winter. Unfortunately, we're 0-2, but it's 1 possession games, brother. First game was a 6-7 loss, which pleased my daughter to no end despite losing. And then the second game, a 10-12 loss. Our girls bounced back, man. They went on a 7-2 run to finish the game, including a buzzer beater at the end of regulation, but still lost by a bucket. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the referees of this league. No sarcasm, true salt of the earth people. They're very, very good with the girls. They remind them to dribble. They remind them that when they pick up their dribble to pass. There was one girl who was throwing the ball in. They handed the ball to her to throw the ball in, and she just started dribbling down the sideline to throw it. I mean, you see all sorts of stuff in this age, and the refs just. One of them was laughing so hard he couldn't blow his whistle, so the ref from across the court had to stop play because he had no idea that she was going to do that anyway. But I don't know. I've just been really impressed with how they've managed the game. And yes, there's a lot of traveling going on. There's no way around it at this age.
There's traveling all the way up to the NBA, man.
Oh yeah, it's really strange. Like it kind of reverts back. You start out, you see traveling everywhere, and then you get into like sixth, 7th, 8th grade. They start calling it all the time. High school, they call it all the time. College, they call it, and then the pros are like, yeah, we're back to 1st, 2nd grade rules. It's fine. You kind of picked it up twice. It's sort of a double dribble. It doesn't really matter.
There's a gather step or gather
The
hop.
Euro step. Yeah. But anyway, 0-2, got another game tomorrow. We'll see if we can get right, get a W on the board. My girl's, she's been really fun to watch. She's pretty fearless on shooting, which is great. Just got to work on, you know, it's sometimes the shot's very forceful, Spencer. Sometimes it's a lot of backboard. It is an incredible amount of backboard, and we're working on it. And sometimes the shot's like 15 foot, but it only goes 7 or 8. And so we're working on the, hey, when you get the ball, you can dribble closer to the basket before you shoot, or you can pass to a teammate. But you're doing great. Keep shooting. That's fine. So it's fun.
I have a nephew that's about that same age that's in like the Y League that plays at that the YWCA in 66th in Indiana area. Again, I echo your sentiments about the referees. They're in there coaching as much as the coaches are.
Actively coaching.
Helping them understand when it's appropriate to dribble, when it's okay, like what happens when you pick it up. If they take a step, it's not like blow the whistle and turn the ball over. Helping them identify like who's open, like when you're looking to pass, like it's okay. It's great. I enjoyed it. Speaking of something I enjoyed, this is at least new to me. Mr. Aaron Rahino has been a staple on my Facebook and I guess Instagram feeds lately. Obviously, Aaron is owner and primary operator of the Rahino Barbecue there in Olton. He's been putting out some just fantastic content on social media, cooking, logistics and operation stuff for running a barbecue restaurant, recipes for how to do this or that. If you're not following him, it's just Aaron Rahino on both Facebook and Instagram. He's got a great content producer there, runs the camera and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like a first person. He's not like behind the camera. He's in front of it, handles himself very well. Just makes me miss Rahino Barbecue just that much more. But it's a fantastic online personality. So if you haven't seen that, obviously go check it out. And if you're out there, pick up some of the best barbecue out in West Texas.
Ooh.
No free ads, but they can certainly have whatever free pub that we can give them because they're just that good.
Absolutely. Another Lubbock staple that's pretty darn good, Caprock Cafe. We got the chance to, our second grader was at her grandmother's during the Texas Tech UCF game on Saturday. So my wife and I got the chance to do something we get to do about once every year or two, and just go enjoy a game at a sports bar completely by ourselves, just the two of us. And thoroughly enjoyed some chips and queso, had a burger. It was great. The beer, it was still like 24 degrees outside, but the beer was the coldest iced beer because they had just opened. The game was at 11, so I think Caprock probably opened like 10:45 or something to start letting people in. Maybe they opened right at 11. I'm not even sure because that's when we just happened to show up. But the schooners were cold. But the thing I wanted to really bring up, we were sitting at the bar just because we thought it's just the two of us. We don't want to take up a table. And a guy came up and sat close to us at the bar, and he ordered something to go. I heard that much. And then he had a ice cold schooner of a domestic light beer while he waited. And then what they brought him was something I've never thought to order from there, but it makes so much sense. It was a bag full of freshly fried pork rinds. And I would have never thought that, like a big plastic bag of it that I don't know how much it cost. It was probably worth twice whatever it cost because they were fresh. I mean, they were still crackling and So, he ordered that to go, had his beer, left his tab, and headed out. It's like, oh my gosh, I've never thought to do that, because I know they fry them fresh when you order them, but I never thought to get them to go.
I think now that you mention that, I think I've seen that or been asked that, like you can sub your chips for pork rinds.
Yes.
So like you could do pork rinds and queso instead of
Mhm.
chips and queso. The fresh aspect of it though, like still crackling, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I had not
and
seen
now
that.
I need to get back to Lubbock to eat some of those. Eat a Caprock.
Yeah. And while you're there, you can go next door to Kokomo, where they make Korean corn dogs. And I had my first Korean corn dog this week.
What's a Korean corn dog?
It's a great question. I meant to look this up before I started talking about it. I think it's battered in like a rice flour. So it's not really a corn dog, but it's the concept is the same. I don't think there's cornmeal involved at all. But it's a different type of flour and batter, and it's really thin but super crispy. Like almost like a crust around it. But anyway, it was fantastic. We had that on Monday night, because we were right over there by Caprock on Saturday, and my wife reminded me, "Hey, we've been wanting to try this place." Like, yeah, okay, let's. When our daughter's out of school, because she'll want to go too, and she'll really like it, and she did. So, man, Korean corn dogs may have ruined me a little bit. They're really good, and you can get like
try that too.
Well, there's and then there's options. I think Kokomo's like a small chain. I think there's some in Midland and some other places. So you can get an all beef frank, or you can get half, like mozzarella half beef frank, or you can get all mozzarella. So you can mix match. Ooh. My wife did the half and half. I just did the all beef frank because I was like, I don't know. But I could see the half mozzarella being the way to go, because it doesn't overdo it.
If you prepared for this trip, Michael, how many of those bad boys do you think you could put away?
These were like Kirkland hot dog size. They were big hot dogs that they had battered and fried. So, I mean, really, I would say 3 at the most. At the absolute most. I don't even know if I could finish 3. I ate 1, and we shared some fries, and I was plenty fine when I went the other day. But yeah, like you said, if I was preparing, I could probably get down 2 easy. Start on a 3rd. Hate myself. Keep going.
Keep going and finish it.
Yep.
Okay, you got one more thing. Why don't you go do that, because it's topical to what everything else you've talked about. And I'm going to take a left turn here for mine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're back to food related. So this is kind of like me discovering Dr. Pepper Zero recently, something that you have known about for many years, and I have shown one on camera right now. I did confirm they do have them at that Circle K. You're right. I didn't get one because I was just out running errands one evening, and I was like, it's 8:00. I don't need a Dr. Pepper Zero right now. Not that night. But anyway, another thing that I'm sure most people are like, well, yeah, no duh, Michael, but the chicken strips at Chick-fil-A are something I've never really messed with. I'm typically just a sandwich guy. Every now and then I'll do the wrap, or even less occasionally the salad. But I really like the spicy chicken sandwich. That's just, I don't even think about it. I just get that. But this time we got some on over the weekend, and I went with the strips, and that's just a whole different level of delicious chicken from Chick-fil-A. I feel like I've been missing out. I think if you had to have like a Chick-fil-A draft of their menu items, the strips would absolutely be a sleeper pick that people would probably overlook. But then if you got them in the first or second round, you'd be thrilled. But I don't know if you've ever messed with the strips that much, or the nuggets, or if even if you're. I don't remember y'all talking about Chick-fil-A too much.
It was we've definitely done Chick-fil-A some, but when we go, it's only been like the nuggets. Although our oldest is a big fan of strips, and wherever we go, he gets chicken strips. Like we can go to a Mexican restaurant, he's asking for the chicken strips and
Yeah.
ketchup. Oh my gosh, we get to a Mexican restaurant. Do you guys have ketchup? Oh man,
When we went to Cancun the other day, I was, talking about how that was the first thing my wife and I craved was Mexican food.
Mhm.
Yeah, my kid ordered a burger, which I'm kind of not too upset with because I've 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 trained her for this moment to
Yeah.
just want a burger. If you want a burger, just get one. But anyway, yeah, she ordered a burger at a Mexican restaurant. Not the first time either. Won't be the last.
Yeah. All right. Last thing I want to wrap up on. It's just something that like has been recurring in my world. And not like in my face world, but like just in the content I've been consuming, and just it blows my mind, Michael. Just the attitude, the entitlement that comes along to some people the second they are recognized for being at least halfway decent at what they do. So you get good at something, and then all of a sudden, here comes the attitude and the entitlement, and like, do you know who I am? Or all of a sudden, my opinion matters on everything because I can operate a camera, or I can um, insert niche skill here. Like it didn't really matter what it is. Because I can cook, or because I can whatever. People, you gained a following because you were good at that thing. Stick to that thing. Like we've also seen, and this is just it may just be what I consume content wise, and like what's been on my feed. Um, there's also been lots of opportunity for people to step into a political commentary field lately, more so than um and just like, okay, everybody's welcome to have their own opinion. That's not what I'm trying to say, but like you got famous, you got your following from being a fitness influencer, or like a health and wellness influencer, or a photographer, uh, and a photography education person, whatever. But now all of a sudden, like we're supposed to care about your opinion on something else. It's like I that's not why I'm here. Also, in the sense of like, what why does being good at holding a camera now mean that you can treat everybody like crap? I get it. Those two things have been like rampant in my world lately. I'm just like, I miss me with all that nonsense. I wanted to see you like try out the latest trend in health and wellness, and I don't need to hear your thoughts on something that you're not qualified to talk about, but you feel like you need to. Like that's not why I'm like, I get my news and political stuff from people that know these things, not somebody cosplaying because you now have a following based on your photography skills. Does that make sense?
It does, which is exactly why we spent 5 minutes talking about Korean corn dogs and chicken strips instead of the
This
deficit
is
or something.
this is our wheelhouse, man. Tech sports and food. You don't hear us talking about um, the latest trends in photography sensor technology, or I only say that because like that's tangential to something like I can halfway talk about to give examples here. Insert anything else, any other skill or hobby here that you can be good at and be really interested in learning all the things about. Anyways, I just be good at what you do. It's great. Don't treat people like crap because you are good at something. And I think we've seen enough people wade into a political discourse arena when they're good at something else to then say something stupid and then lose everything. So
this is a teaser for next episode, but what you just said reminded me of a question. Oh no, it's don't worry. we're not going to all of a sudden don't worry about that. It just reminded me of a question I want to ask you next week, but I'm going to put it in here so you can think about it.
Wonderful. All right. That'll do it for us here on 23 Personnel Podcast. Getting you ready for the start to the softball season. Super Bowl, big game this weekend. The bounce back. We're going to manifest the bounce back of the basketball season, men's basketball season, excuse me. That'll it from Michael. I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at PuntSuck, and Michael at Michael_LBK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.